Salve, salve, Maestro here, and today we are back with our final dev diary before the 1.9 update. And yeah, I know that I said that the Prestige Guilds one would be the last, but this specific dev diary has a feature in the final of it that I think it's very good to see this coming from the developers. So, with no more further ado, hello, Victorians, and happy Thursday. My name is Tune, aka Doodles, and I am a game designer and rural folk member of Victoria Free, and I've been tasked with bringing you this dev diary. So let's already jump into the content, and the first thing that we got is bulk formation acts. So basically, as mentioned by Lino in dev diary 145, we are actively working on the ability to change military formation mobilization options in bulk, and not only has this been implemented, but the scope has also somewhat escalated and now also includes some other much sought after functionality like the ability to mass merge formations or set command orders across all generals. So basically, this is a new tab where you can not merge your armies, but you can control them together. So you can raise conscripts of all of them together, demobilize, merge them if they are in the same place, or mobilize them all together. So we can create some small stacks of army. So this is the main army which I'm gonna use for great powers. This is the secondary army that I'm gonna use to colonize and make puppets all around the world. And this is the rebellion army that I'm only gonna use for rebellions. Now you can divide your army between these various groups as you wish. So a cool feature, just a quality of life. Very cool. And now an actual new feature that is coming, it is a blockade. A blockade is a new type of command order for admirals that allow them to cut off world market access and supply lines from being created in ports adjacent to the designated sea node. Now, blockades differ from conventional convoy raiding in that they require overwhelming naval supremacy but can inflict massive damage to the target country. The defending nation does not have to helplessly watch this unfold, of course. They can always choose to send their own fleet to engage in your navy and try to break the blockade. And we can see here the effects of the blockade, which include migrants attraction, efficiency for shipping lanes originating or ending. Okay, this is, I think, probably is trade efficiency or something like it, or market access, and throughput for water-based buildings, which makes sense, of course. Whether you wish to deploy one or the other will depend on your situation, and of course, the makeup of your fleet in comparison to the enemy. Capital ships in particular will be able to instill fear and whiplash into anyone contemplating sailing that day on account of being so large and, as I've been told, having a lot of guns. So capital ships, which are the secondary ships, right, the one that stays in the middle, they now have a blockade strength and also a convoy raiding efficiency. At least I don't remember this being on the game already. So basically, it makes a lot of sense. These capital ships are very large and powerful, but are also very slow. So raiding a convoy would be impossible since they cannot catch up to the convoy speed. On the other hand, having a lot of guns help you a lot on the blockade. Now talking about strategic objective, this is something that we already knew. If I recorded correctly, there was in another depth diary, or at least in one of the live streams that they did. And basically now strategic objectives are separated to each formation, which is very good. Like since we only have a frontline based warfare, at least we can control each army separately with the strategic objects. So I will not run into all of this because we already knew it. And another quality of life, it is the War Go To tip. So now it's easier for us to understand exactly why a war goal is contested or not. So in this case, the Conquer Hedjas is not contested because Great Britain occupy Hedjas. They occupy the capital of Hedjas and the capital of the enemy, which in this case is Egypt. Company prosperity, again, something they also said they're going to include. So instead of the prosperity being based on the productivity of the company compared to other companies, it is now instead based on the productivity of the company compared to the global productivity of the types of buildings owned by said companies. And being honest, I actually thought that this was what were already happening. Like, I don't know why they didn't made it so since the beginning, but okay, at least they are now changing. And now another feature is country monopolies, and I'm very sure that this will be misunderstood by a lot of people because of the company monopolies. But now basically you can monopolize a whole industry as they state. So basically you spend a little bit of authority and it blocks private investors from constructing new buildings of this type. And it's important to note that a country monopoly does not affect the ownership makeup of pre-existing buildings. You will still have to claw those back the old-fashioned way by nationalizing them. And this is referring for the fact that now companies can rebuy the buildings from other private investors. Now, something that I didn't like is this custom RNG seed, which basically you can drive your RNG through a known path. Like, part of the game is the RNG, so why would I want to know exactly what will happen? And although I don't care about it, but the fact that achievements still are available even if you use a custom RNG seed feels wrong to me. But I don't care. I won't use it. If you want, okay, it's your option. It's better that everybody plays the game the way they want. So nice. And even though a lot of stuff here was quality of life, they actually separated another quality of life changes, which are the private investment log. So now you can see the history of the private construction and privatization. So you can see that the financial district in home counties constructed a gold mine in Blockade in 1 of January 1836. Maybe this is referring for already pre-built buildings, of course. Another quality of life about colonization is that when you colonize a new area, you always build a port with it, which is fine. Everybody did that back. Probably the AI couldn't handle this, so they are indirectly helping the AI and, of course, making the game better. Movements. Now you can clearly see on the movements tab what they support and what they don't support. Most of the times I used to just hover over the ideology here to check. Maybe it will speed up. And also a addition that they've done is to put an icon on the left side of the political movement to represent their ideology or a flag if it fits. And map modes are now easier to see. Like, okay, I normally go for the hidden tab, which is on the right side of those 5 buttons at the bottom. There is a tab there, which I can see all the map modes. So just another quality of life. Very good. And this is the thing that I want to talk about. They put it under the modding tag, but I think that they actually want to do that and are just testing how will be the approval of the player base, which is this law variant. You can now assign your new law a parent based on the other laws in the same category. Your new law will then inherit all ideological stance of its parent law, allowing you to easily create variations of existing law for more flexibility or to cover situations in different countries or regions in a more detailed manner without having to set up completely new ideologies every time. So they kind of try to say, oh, it's for your mod, but I actually think that they want to implement it in the game. And this is very welcoming because if you ever have played U4 as an example, you probably know about the unique government reforms. And this is basically the same thing. Like a lot of them have some similarities with other base government reforms, but they variate a little bit from country to country. And this is very, very nice to see. So if they implement it for everybody, they say here about the single implementation that they're gonna do to China, the law system in Victoria 3 will not feel like the same. So maybe you will not always want to go for universal suffrage, public schools, public healthcare, graduated taxation, you wanted to go laissez-faire and then cooperative ownership if you want. Like, no, you're gonna actually need to check the country law variant of that law. And maybe, let's say, the public healthcare in US is not as great as the private healthcare or anything like it that the developers can implement. As another example, let's just use this Canton system, which is a version of isolationism that exists in China at the game start. Implemented by the Qing dynasty, it greatly reduced the amount of outside trade by forcing it go through a single port without banning it outright, however, unlike regular isolationism. So we can see that there is some changes that actually impacts on the game. So you receive minus 25% of authority, you gain up 17% of maximum declared interest, you lose half of your trade capacity, although technically in isolationism it's 100%. But in this case, you can only have trade centers inside the Western Guangdong. You decrease a little bit the debuff over technology spread. You decrease the taxation capacity. So a lot of interesting things that actually impact the game, and this can change from country to country, which is very good to see. It's something that everyone have asked for before. So it's great to see the developers going for this direction. And we can clearly see from these 1.9 dev diaries that they are wanting to do that. Now, of course, I won't go for the gold part because most of people, I think, at least, will be bored about it. So let's just end the video by here. It is a very quick video. It is a very quick dev diary, but I just wanted to say about this new system that I think that has a great potential for the game. So with nothing left to be said, I hope you liked the episode and I helped you to understand the dev diary. You liked my ideas. Comment, like, subscribe, and I see you next time.